what mistake is ISIS doing apart from its obvious terrorism? And what Sheikh Imran Hosein is correct about is that they have weapons from the West, and the West is arming them, and most likely Israel is arming them as well, because I have said on many occasions they have never lobbed a grenade over the border into Israel. Instead, they are killing Muslims. But theologically, what mistake is ISIS making? They are becoming like the Jabariya. They believe they will bring about the end of times, because what they believe, what is going on now, they believe this is a malhama, al-malhamatul kubra, the major Armageddon taking place. So they inculcate into their followers that we will bring about the end of times by bringing down the river levels, by controlling the dam. The dam keeps the water at bay, and certain parts of the river, the water depletes or the water levels go down. Like this, they believe they are bringing in the end of times. So this mindset is also found in ISIS, who believe their actions will bring in the end of times, like the black banner methodology or the black banner mindset. Certain groups will carry black banners in order to fulfill the prophecy that a group of black banners will travel from Khurasan, which is eastern Iran and western Afghanistan, those regions. A group of people with black banners shall march, and they shall place those black banners in Al-Quds. So what happens is groups with black banners appear and say, we are that group. Well, if you are that group, then place the flags in Al-Quds. Not a single group to this day has placed the flags in Al-Quds, in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, so people can say that this in fact is the group of the black banners. Therefore, this mentality is becoming very rife amongst certain Muslim groups. It is rife amongst Shia, the 12 Shia, like Abdullah Hashim, who is a former 12 Shia and now has joined Ahmad al-Hassan cult. It is rife amongst certain Sufi groups, that certain Sufi groups will hold the view that their shaykh is al-Imam al-Mahdi, or when their shaykh makes a prediction of al-Imam al-Mahdi to appear, they believe it shall happen. And it is also rife amongst Salafi groups. How is it rife amongst Salafis, meaning pseudo-Salafis? You have Juhayman al-Utaybi, the person who in 1979, what did he do? He took hold of, they took weapons, and they took over the sanctuary in Makkah al-Mukarramah, the holy masjid, by force, proclaiming that al-Imam al-Mahdi shall appear. Read the book on, there are a few books on Juhayman al-Utaybi. You can watch documentaries on him also. But they also had an apocalyptic approach, like Christian groups. Like Christian groups in Texas, the Branch Davidian. You had the Branch Davidian, what did they do? They believed the end of times is coming, and they took hold of weapons. And then the authorities had to raid the ranch, and the ranch in 1993, and the ranch went on to fire, and then hundreds of people died. Like that, you have this mentality amongst many Muslim groups, and the followers of Sheikh Imran Hosein are falling into the same mistake, because his methodology is flawed. Therefore, the conclusions that he will give will also be flawed. What other sign shall occur before the appearance of al-Imam al-Mahdi? It's important we cover this before we go to the death of Dajjal and the appearance of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and identifying Ya'juj and Ma'juj. One sign which is mentioned, عن أم سلمة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Salma رضي الله عنها reports that the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, يكون اختلاف عند موت خليفة. There shall be death disputes. اختلاف عند موت خليفة, at the death of a Khalifa. Some scholars, when the Khilafah was abolished, they said that the Khalifa term here means a king. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Maybe the Khilafah shall be restored. So at the time of the death of a Khalifa, فَيَخْرُجُ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ, a man shall leave the city of al-Madinah, هَارِبًا إِلَى مَكَّةَ, running to Makkah al-Mukarramah. فَيَأْتِيهِ نَاسٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ مَكَّةَ, the people of Makkah shall go to him. فَيُخْرِجُونَ وَهُوَ كَارِهٌ, they shall take him out and he shall dislike this. Or فَيَخْرُجُونَ وَهُوَ كَارِهٌ, they shall come out and he shall dislike this. فَيُبَايِعُونَهُ بَيْنَ الرُّكْنِ وَالْمَقَامِ, they shall give the oath of allegiance to him between al-rukn and al-maqam. Al-rukn is the corner of the black stone. Al-maqam is the maqam of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam. So between the two, the corner of the black stone and the maqam of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam, they shall give him the oath of allegiance. Note, Juhayman al-Utaybi believed his brother-in-law was the fulfillment of that prophecy. His brother-in-law was from the family of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was an imam of a masjid, I think in Riyadh. And Juhayman al-Utaybi convinced his followers, over 300 of them, that he is al-Mahdi. And then they took in dried milk and dates and weapons into the holy sanctuary in Makkah al-Mukarramah, and they hijacked the masjid. So he believed the oath of allegiance will be given. Now, what does the hadith mention? The hadith mentions the following. وَيُبْعَثُ إِلَيْهِ بَعْثٌ مِنَ الشَّامِ, a group of people shall be sent to him from Syria, Greater Syria, Asham. فَيُخْسَفُ بِهِمْ بِالْبَيْدَاءِ بَيْنَ مَكَّةَ وَالْمَدِينَةِ, they shall be swallowed in an area between Makkah al-Mukarramah and al-Madinatul Munawwarah. The army shall be swallowed. فَإِذَا رَأَى النَّاسُ ذَلِكَ, when people shall see this. How will people see this? Now we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Maybe they will see it through the means of modern technology. أتاه أبدال الشام وعصائب أهل العراق فيبايعونه. A group of people referred to as Abdal Sham, which we know there are over 14 hadith on the Abdal of Sham, meaning the awliya of Sham, and Asaibu Ahlil Iraq, groups of the people of Iraq. These two groups shall come and give him the oath of allegiance. So the army being swallowed up in Al-Bayda, the army being swallowed up in Al-Bayda is one of the major signs of the appearance of Al-Imam al-Mahdi. So what did Juhayman al-Utaybi do? Juhayman al-Utaybi said to his followers when they took over, and it was the new Islamic year, so it was the new century, 1400. See, a lot of these apocalyptic groups become active at the turn of the century. It was 1979 during the Iran revolution. You had the invasion of Afghanistan. And if you look through history, every 10 years, every 20 years, the Muslim Ummah is facing some issue. So currently in the world, we are facing the problems in Syria and Yemen and other places like Burma. So young people are enticed by the apocalyptic narrative. So Juhayman al-Utaybi said to his followers, when he heard that the Saudi government have called in, some people say the Pakistani troops, but in reality it was the French troops, or others say it was Pakistani army under the generals of the French. They were waiting for that army to be swallowed. So Juhayman al-Utaybi said that army shall come and it shall be swallowed. So again, what mistake was Juhayman al-Utaybi making? He was making the mistake of the Jabariyah. He was attempting to bring in the end of times. This mentality is what is destructive. A mentality that we shall bring in the end of times. We shall bring about Armageddon. And of course he was mistaken. What the Saudis then did is filled the masjid with water and electrocuted them, and they were all caught and then executed. But until the Euphrates River is not dried, and until an army is not swallowed in Al-Bayda, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi radiallahu anh will not appear. So do not fall into the mistakes of these apocalyptic groups which make predictions every year. And the most recent prediction was the prediction of a Sheikh Imran Hosein, saying that most likely there will be a nuclear war. Now imagine the poor soul who sells his house, spends that money on a bomb shelter in some land, piece of land that he buys, and according to the advice of a Sheikh Imran Hosein, he has clay pots and he fills them with dry foods, dry nuts and lentils and other things, and water, clay pots full of water, and waits and waits and waits and waits, and the end of time does not happen, or the nuclear war does not take place. When the mentality of a Muslim is that if the nuclear war does take place, then we are ready for death, meaning we do not have an apocalyptic mindset. What will occur then after these signs of Al-Imam Al-Mahdi take place? The hadith states, and this hadith is in the Sunan of Al-Imam Abu Dawood. In the Sunan of Al-Imam Abu Dawood. And these, remember, and this is especially for the fans of Sheikh Imran Hosein, that nuclear war or Armageddon can never occur until these signs have taken place. So you can keep waiting for Putin. You can keep waiting for Russia. You can keep waiting for Europe. And in some ways, some people have a sick fascination that they want nuclear war to take place. But these things cannot occur until the following takes place. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ثُمَّ يَنْشَأُ رَجُلٌ مِّن قُرَيْشٍ. Then a man shall appear who shall be from Quraysh. أَخْوَالُهُ كَلْبٌ. His maternal relatives shall be from Bani Kalb. فَيَبْعَثُ إِلَيْهِ بَعْثًا فَيَظْهَرُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ. The Muslims will become victorious over his army that he shall dispatch. وَذَلِكَ بَعْثُ كَلْبٍ. This dispatchment shall be called ba'athu kalb, meaning when the Muslims will defeat this leader, they shall attain war booty from him, and this will be called ba'athu kalb. وَالْخَيْبَةُ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَشْهَدْ غَنِيمَةَ كَلْبٍ. The person who does not attain the war booty of this will be at a loss. Meaning, until this sign does not take place, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi radiallahu anh will not appear.